Hi everyone, my name is Tanya. I'm a dietitian, and what I've done today for you is I'm going to show you how to make one of my basil and red onion flavor bombs. I love making these kind of dressings. As I said to you before, I keep about 3 dressings in the fridge, and then I use them to flavor a lot of my dishes if I want to add more oomph to my meals. So it's very, very easy. I'm going to be adding in about half a red onion, some garlic. Remember, these guys are prebiotics. These are fantastic for your microbes, so I really try and add them in. If you're on a FODMAP diet, obviously it's going to be a bit challenging to add these in. You can actually take these out and just use the following ingredients, or the other ingredients, should I say. I've got a bit of lemons, I've got some basil, I've got a little bit of olive oil, some organic apple cider vinegar, and then I've obviously got some salt and a little bit of black pepper. So I'm going to whip it all together. And then this is one of the dressings I use for the 3-day Cycle Women's menu plan, but not just for them. I actually include it for most of my clients out there that absolutely love their foods to taste delicious. So what I'm going to do is just cut it up. So cut the red onion up as finely as possible. You can actually use a blender if you're wanting to put all the dressing stuff together. So you can chop the onion up roughly and then put it into a blender with all the other ingredients, like you'd obviously grate the garlic. But what I find is I quite like doing it this way. Sometimes it just creates a little bit more chunkiness. I can determine the chunkiness of the actual dish. And some of you might not have a blender, so it's just, if you don't have a blender, this is one of the ways you can actually do it. Just keep it nice and simple, okay? So, there we go. Alright. You'll notice the board moving, and actually what I've forgotten is putting a damp cloth under it, because if I want to stop irritating myself, I should have done this before. So ideally what I do is just get a damp cloth, I put it on here just to actually keep it nice and stable so it doesn't move everywhere. It doesn't look very pretty though, I'm sorry. It doesn't really go with the look. So I'm just going to cut this up. Alright, and then I'm going to put it in my bowl over here for a little bit later on. So then you'll put it over there. I'm going to grate the garlic in a microplane. You can chop it up finely if you want to as well. So if you don't have one of these devices, it's just chop it up with a normal knife. Oopsie. You can actually, if you've got a pestle and mortar, you can use that as well. So I'm just going to take those off there because I just chopped those off a little bit. Just take this off here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just do a little zest of some lemon. So it's just a small lemon, just a little bit. Bring some flavor in, fantastic for the body as well. Okay, let's take a spoon, a little bit easier to take it off. And what I'm going to do is just, there's a few chunks of garlic in there, so I'm just going to chop them up. I don't like to waste. Together, just chop that little bit of garlic up that I want, and I'm just going to put it into the bowl here again, and I'm going to use around about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice initially, just to, I might change it a little bit later on, because I always find some of the lemons are different in flavor, you know, with their acidity and that. So I'm just going to put in what I think will work. Actually, let's start with a tablespoon, and then if I need a little bit more, because I'm going to add a bit of apple cider vinegar, so you don't want it to be too acidic. I just absolutely love lemon juice. I love the freshness of it. So these are around about a tablespoon, okay? And then I'm going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I'll get the apple cider vinegar with the mother. You can see it's got the remnants of it from the SCOBY. So you'll notice that they say it has a higher microbial action in it. So I'm just going to pour about, I reckon, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You can use red wine vinegar, you can use white wine vinegar, but I just like this of the probiotic action it has. So I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to add, I'm going to cut up the basil, around about 2 cups of basil I've used here. Remember, I've shared another flavor bomb recipe with you where I use basil, coriander and parsley with a bit of chili and garlic. It's a bit similar to what I'm doing now, but what I found with this one is at this time I just want the basil flavor coming through. I don't want a mix of herbs. And like I said to you before, these guys are fantastic for antioxidants. So really try and bring as many herbs, even spices in, because of the effects, the positive effect it has on the body, especially for your health. Okay, so I'm just chopping this up. Once again, as I said, you can put it in a blender, but with this, I can just create the kind of texture I want that I prefer. So, you know, I also remember being a student and not having all the devices available, you know, the blenders and the mixers, and at chef school we were taught how to make everything from scratch without any machines, just in case the power went off when you were in a game reserve, you were chefing in a game reserve, so you had to do everything by hand basically. So I'm just showing you, if some of you don't have the tools, this is so easy. Alright, so I'm just going to make it, I'll chop it like this, should I say. You can chop it finer, just depending on what you want, so I'm just going to put it in here. Alright, there we go. I'm just going to wash my hands. Okay, so what we do, we just got the basics now. I'm going to put salt in. Usually start off with about half a teaspoon of salt. You can try and add a little bit more if you feel it needs. I like to use sea salt, Himalayan salt, so just depending on what you've got available. I'm going to put a little bit of ground black pepper. You can put a touch of chili if you want, cayenne pepper if you don't have this. And I'm going to add in around about half a cup of oil. I use extra virgin olive oil. It's fantastic for, so let me put in that olive oil. Just put it in there, and I'm just going to add a touch of water. Just going to add about a quarter of a cup of water, so let's put that in there and give it a bit of a stir. So I'm just going to stir it there. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, because the sugar takes away a little bit of the acidity. If you don't have to add the sugar in, I just find it gives a little bit of a nice, it just tends to balance it nicely. So around about a quarter to half a teaspoon of sugar coming in there. Give it a good stir. If you want to, you can add a little bit more olive oil if you feel it needs it. So I'm just going to mix it up. Alright. Now, I'm just going to taste it to see what it tastes like. You know, if you leave it for a day or so, you'll tend to find the flavors marinate beautifully actually over time. So, let me have a taste. That's really, really good. What I feel is that actually doesn't need any, it's got enough acidity to it. You could add a little bit more sugar if you find it too acidic. It's got a nice tang. And this is going to be fantastic on some of my dishes that I'm going to share with you in the next couple of weeks. Okay. All right. There we go. Thank you so much.